Hey guys, it's EzraTime here, and today I'm going to do a movie review on New God's Nezha Reborn, which is a movie made by Lightchaser Studio, and I think it was made by director Ji Zhao. I hope that I don't mispronounce the name there, but I probably did, so sorry. Which is the same director that made White Snake 2019, if you guys remember that. Very popular movie, right? White Snake 2, really high for that. And yeah, I just recently watched this movie, and honestly, I really enjoyed this. And it has a good characters moment. It has a good story. And obviously it has a cool fight scene. Even though I would say the fight scene in this movie is not exactly as it's not as good as the White Snake fight scene. I would say. I think the White Snake fight scene is far more longer in some way, but in this one it just like happens quickly. But it's still cool. It's still cool to see. Don't get me wrong. Um, yeah, this movie is about obviously Nezha, and but the twist is that Nezha was supposed to be like this characters or god, I guess, that actually exists in the Ming Dynasty timeline. I think you could say that. But this movie took that storyline, and then now Nezha was reincarnated in a modern time, in a modern city, and or as to say cyberpunk city, which is again the movie took place in Donghai City, which is again a fictional city, obviously, and it was the city was actually cyberpunk, and it was really cool. Like the design of Donghai City was actually really cool. It looks like Manhattan, but it's like obviously there is some like slums, like cyberpunk is obviously kind of like it reminds me of the city of Midgar from Final Fantasy, Final Fantasy 7. If you guys played that game, um, because Final Fantasy 7 are also cyberpunk ish, you could say that. And this city does remind me the city of Midgar from that game, which is really cool. And the characters we were going to follow is actually named Lee Yunxiang. I think that's the main protagonist, who is the new Neza. But obviously, this movie is all about Lee Yunxiang is trying to discover his identity as Neza. Because there is so many version of Neza, you could say that. But this one, see, he's going to try to make a different on his version of Neza. Like because Neza in the past, usually Neza is not really, basically, like Neza make a lot of trouble in the past. Like he's not very good. He's not necessarily a good god, but he does help people sometimes. But not 100% good god if I'm being honest here. And the movie is about, Yunxiang is trying to discover her own identity, and sorry, his own identity as Neza, and then maybe try to convince the old Neza, the true one, which is right here. You can see it on the poster here. The yellow being behind this main character was really tiny. That's Lee Yunxiang, and then behind him is actually the real Neza. Like or I should say the original Neza, which just looks very cool. And it's all about him trying to convince. Or wasn't trying to convince, but I guess it's about the old Neza try to basically change his personality to become a better god in some way. And it's just really cool story, at least in my opinion. And by the time you got to the end, it was pretty satisfying. And the movie itself also has so many characters. Obviously, one of them are actually Kasha, which is Lee Yunxiang childhood friend. Was again really just a really cute characters. And the other one, he also got a brother. I the brother's name. I have to look it up, guys. And then the other one is actually Dr. Su, I think, which is obviously a doctor, and she was Lee, main love interest, and honestly, he was a really good character. Everybody characters in this movie is actually pretty consistent, at least in my opinion, and not just you know, everybody got their own moments in this movie, which is really good. Some every people got their own role and not just like sit there not doing anything. Um, and it was pretty well developed, at least in my opinion. The characters, especially the main one, obviously, because you gotta do that. Sorry guys, I'm looking to my phone for the character's name, so I don't exactly miss someone. Oh, I missed this character, the Masked Man. You're going to see the Masked Man in this movie, which is again a character, obviously wearing a mask. That's the name, but that's not his true identity. Obviously, that's not his true name. But I will say this though: once the character remove the mask and then you see his face, you guys might guess who is that character once he removed the mask, maybe because that's how I guessed the character's name when he removed the mask, and then suddenly Neza said something else about his name, right? So I thought that, oh well, never mind, it's not him, you know. But in the end, it was revealed that, oh, it's him, you know, the characters that actually pretty popular. I think you guys might know of these characters already. I'm not gonna say what it is because again, it's a spoiler, so sorry. But it's pretty popular, I would say. It was really well known characters among the people, and basically this movie also took place the old folklore for Neza, obviously, and then put them into this new world, and it just really, or I guess it's modern time, you could say that it's just really interesting, you know, to see this original folklore and then to see their story happen in this modern time. Because I always have this idea that because China always believe in reincarnation and all that kind of stuff, so I thought that, oh, it would be interesting if we see the old legendary folklore from Chinese myth or whatever it is, and then they put that into modern time. And I was like, oh, that was a really good idea. I hope someone do that, and they did it in this movie. Like New Gods Nezha Reborn took place in modern time, obviously cyberpunk in ish again, and it's just like, wow, it's really great idea. And a lot of people actually, and I read the review for a lot of people actually really familiar with Neza's story. They also really like this story, or at least, or sorry, this movie, because it's a fresh takes on the characters, you know. And it's not just took place in the old times, you know. Every single time they do an adaptation on Neza, it always took place in the old times, you could say that. And now it took place in modern time, which just makes it really interesting. And again, the world design was really cool, but it's kind of sad that we don't exactly spend much time in the main city of Donghai, you know, because we just spend time in the outskirts of Donghai City, which is just a slum area, which kind of make me disappointed because you kind of see the sorry, the downtown of Donghai City, but you only see that on the first act of the movie, but the rest of the story just took place on the outskirts of Donghai, which is just like desert or slum area, which is kind of disappointing. But at the same time, it makes sense because they it's a lot easier to make the action scene there because the area is way open, I guess you could say that. But yeah, it's just like, but it's still like, I really hope that in the sequel, because I think they already confirmed a sequel for this movie. I hope that in the sequel we get to see more of Donghai City, which is the fictional city for this movie, obviously, and hopefully we get to see a fight scene in the main downtown area, because that would be cool to see like gods between gods and then destroying each other buildings, kind of like Man of Steel. I don't know. I just think it will be cool, but then again, they might save that for a sequel. Who knows? And yeah, I think my only criticism is that obviously we don't get to see much Donghai City in this movie, or I guess the main downtown area. And then the second one is that the third act of this movie is just, I don't know, it's just too short in my opinion, because there is a potential that this third act of the movie, it could be like this epic battle happening, right? Like it could potentially like much more epic, just like the third act of White Snake 2019. Like if you guys remember that, you know, Wednesday 2019, the third act was really cool. That the climax in that movie was really cool. It um you know, it provide a really long action sequences, and it's just like really cool to look at. It's really well directed, obviously, and I kind of like expecting that on this movie, because I mean you can see on the poster, you see a giant white dragon here, um, and it's just like, oh, it's going to like this movie is going to give us a large scale battle, right? And I was imagining that if Nezha fighting the dragon on the middle of the city, like I was imagining that, but sadly, it doesn't happen. It does fight a dragon. Don't get me wrong, two dragons in this movie, but at the same time, it's just like it's probably too short. You know, the third act was less, like too short, and it's just like, I would say sometimes it's too easy, because the main villain in this movie like was like they kind of build him up, and then in the end when Nezha fight him, it's just like, I don't know, it was just too easy in my opinion. It should have been longer. It should have been way tougher, but for some reason it's just easy. It's just like when the action, when the villain die, quote unquote, and I was just like, oh, okay, really? Like that's it? Wow, that was really fast, you know. So I'm kind of disappointed but for the third act, but at the same time, it's still a good movie. So you know, great, I guess. Oh, sorry guys, gotta drink first. Um, Yeah, at the end of the day, I probably going to give this movie an 8 out of 10. It was a really good movie. I rewatched this like second time, obviously, and it was like really enjoyable to watch. For the second time, it was enjoyable for the first two act, and then the third act was, it's not bad. It was okay. I just wish it was longer. Because there is the potential there, and they don't exactly make it longer, which is kind of make me disappointed. But they might be behind schedule or something. I don't know. Um, and either way, after this, let's talk about the sequel for this movie because they already announced a sequel, and then in this movie, there is actually two post-credit scene. Like the first scene, I don't exactly know what it is. I think it was a reference to another god or another folklore that I don't even know or familiar with because again, I don't exactly know about Chinese myth that much or Chinese folklore, so I'm really sorry for that. I don't even know too much about Nezha to be honest with you guys. This is the first time I watched anything related to Nezha, and then we learn about his backstory, and I thought that like, oh, it was cool then, and now they doing a fresh take on that story. Really cool, make me really appreciate it. And the second post-credit scene was actually Lee Yunxiang, the main character, is actually meet a guy wearing a hat, and then there is a bandage on his hat, I think. And I think they already confirmed the sequel by the end of this movie. The end of this movie, they're already giving the sequel, the title for the sequel, which is I think New Gods Yunxiang. I think that's the title for the sequel. I think Yunxiang is actually, I think it was known as Erlang Shen. I think some of you might know about that. Um, but I heard about that, and I kind of familiar with his story, or I guess his characters in some way, because Erlangshan, or I guess Yang Jian in this storyline, which I'm assuming that it was his other name, maybe I don't exactly know. But the sequel is gonna be about him. It's not gonna be about Nezha anymore. Even though Nezha is gonna be the protagonist in the sequel, obviously, and he's still prominent in this movie. But the sequel is not gonna be focusing on him. It's gonna be focusing on this new god called Yang Jian, and I didn't notice it when I first watching it because when I first watching it, I was like, well, he's wearing a hat. And then the second time I'm watching it, I realized that he's actually wearing a bandage on his hat. And I read about Yang Jian, or I guess Erlang Shen, and apparently he has a third eye on his forehead. So his third eye was supposed to see people's feelings, or I guess he knows that, oh, using the third eye, he can know if people actually telling the truth or they're telling a lie. They like he know that, using his third eye, and then that's why he's using a bandage on his head, to cover his third eye. And I thought it was like, oh, that's so cool. So we got Neza, you got Arlang Shen or Yang Jiang, I think, for the new guys, and that got me interesting to see. And I think this actually confirmed that Lightchaser Studio, um, I think they're trying to build their own cinematic universe using the old gods, or like using the old Chinese myth, or folklore or legend, whatever you want to call them. And then they're trying to put that into this modern timeline or modern time, cyberpunk. You can say that, because the next one is called New Gods. So I guess you could say the New Gods series that actually they've been planning to, I guess. So first one we got Nezha Reborn, the second one we got Yang Jiang, and I'm pretty sure when New Gods Yang Jian released I think it was released in 2022. That's the schedule, but it might be released in 2023. Who knows? um, but obviously the sequel was confirmed, and once the sequel coming out, I'm assuming that we're going to get to introduce two more gods in the future sequel, obviously, and then going to title it like New Gods something, because this one is New Gods Nezha Reborn. Like the second one, New Gods Yang Jian. Maybe the third one is like New Gods, I don't know, something else, another god from the old folklore, and then they reincarnated into this modern time. That would be really cool. And I got this idea that because I recently watched the White Snake 2 trailer again. If you guys haven't watched it, you can watch my reaction for that video. There should be a card up here. You guys can click it. And I decided to watch that trailer, the teaser trailer for White Snake 2. And if you guys already watched that trailer, in the end there, Xiaoqing got sent to her next reincarnation, and then Xiaoqing end up in the green snake end up in the modern time, because you see a skyscraper, and then I think you can hear a police siren in the end of the trailer, and obviously in the end where she looked up and she looks so shocked, obviously. And that got me wondering though, because when I visit the official website for the studio, when they released the trailer there, the teaser trailer there, a lot of people actually already making theories that maybe White Snake 2 is going to connect to the New Gods series. Like maybe because New Gods actually took this idea that, oh, you got the old legend and then they got reincarnated and then I'm sorry, reincarnated, and then you can experience their story in modern times. So you got like a fresh takes on the story. And then White Snake, the first White Snake is not exactly a take from the original folklore. It's more like a prequel to the original folklore. And then that's why the first movie ends with Sushan or Ashan, the guy from the first movie. And then that's where he met Xiao Bai and Xiao Qing in the bridge, and that's how the original folklore begins. And that's why the first movie is a prequel to the folklore. And then the second was supposed to be an adaptation for the old folklore then, right? Or I guess the original folklore for the White Snake, but the studio has been pretty clear that they don't exactly want to repeat the same idea or the same folklore from the obviously the folklore. They're trying to do their own takes on the folklore, like fresh new takes, kind of like Nezha here, and I guess kind of like the first movie as well for the White Snake. And the second movie they kind of did that. The first, I'm assuming the White Snake 2, the first 20 minutes of the movie is gonna be like the ending of the original folklore for the White Snake, and then the rest of them is gonna be Xiaoqing get reincarnated, or I guess get sent to her next reincarnated body, I guess you could say that, and then she ending up in the modern time. You can see Scribe, in modern time. And that got me thinking that if White Snake 2 is going to take the same universe as New Gods Nezha Reborn, like maybe Xiaoqing ending up in a different city, but maybe you can see like maybe you can get a reference to Donghai City in some way, maybe, I don't know, I'm just assuming here. Because that would be really cool if she actually ending up in the, who knows, maybe ending up in the same city as Donghai City, or maybe it's gonna be a different city, like other city as well from her folklore, you could say that. I don't know. I'm just excited to see if this movie is going to be connected to New God series. It will be really cool, but then again, we never know. One thing for sure though, Lightchaser Studio is trying to do her own cinematic universe using their old Chinese myth characters like gods and demons and all that kind of stuff, and they kind of like use that idea to the modern time, which is really cool. And they're going to build their own cinematic universe. I think it was confirmed at this point for the New God series, but for White Snake 2, again, we don't know if White Snake is going to be connected to New Gods. Like, do you guys want White Snake and New Gods to be connected? Like, you can let me know. Part of me kind of want them to be connected because I think it's just like a really cool idea if to see these two universes connected, but at the same time, it might not be a good idea as well. Like, who knows what's gonna happen in White Snake 2, but regardless to say, I'm really excited for White Snake 2. It's going to be released in 2021. There is no exact release date yet, which is sucks, and we haven't got an official trailer yet. So I'm really hoping that we get to see the official trailer maybe this May or June maybe, and maybe we're going to finally get to see the official release date finally, not just 2021. And obviously we got the sequel to New Gods Yunxiang, which is going to be released in 2022. So again, exciting, and I really hope that these two universes can be connected in some way, but we'll see about that. And yeah, I guess that's my review for New Gods Nezha Reborn, guys. Do you guys watch this movie? This movie exists. Oh, sorry, exists. Sorry, this movie is available on Netflix. So I encourage you guys to. I recommend you guys to watch this movie. It's a really cool movie. Again, good story, good characters, good plot, obviously. And again, the third eye is kind of disappointing for me, but at the same time, you guys might like it. I still give this movie an 8 out of 10. So I highly recommend you guys to watch this movie because China is trying to do this cinematic universe using their old Chinese legend or folklore, and I think that was a really cool idea, at least in my opinion. So I recommend. I hope you guys can actually watch this movie on Netflix. It's available there, and you can let me know in the comment section below if you guys already watched this movie. You guys can tell me what you guys think about this movie in general. Do you guys like it, or do you guys think it could have been better? Do you guys excited for the sequel, New Guys Yunxiang? And do you guys excited for White Snake 2, which is going to be released this year? Like, do you guys excited about that? I'm really excited to see that movie. Really excited. And yeah, just let me know your opinions in the comment section below, guys. And yeah, I think that's it for this video, for this movie review. And I really hope you guys enjoyed this video then, and I will see you guys in the next one then. Bye. Oh, forget to say this, guys. Remember to subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to do that, guys. Leave a like if you like to, and a comment, obviously. And after this, I'm going to do more FNAF reactions. So yeah, stay tuned for that. And yeah, that's it, guys. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next one then. Bye.